Welcome to the deep dive. AI is popping up everywhere these days. It's changing how we work, how we play, even how we shop. But one area where it's having a particularly profound impact is education. And that's what we're diving into today. We got this really thought-provoking article from a listener, and we're excited to break it all down.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how quickly things are changing. For a long time, AI felt like something out of science fiction. But now it's right here, right now, shaping classrooms and learning platforms.
Exactly. And it's not just about, replacing teachers with robots or anything like that. It's
Right.
about leveraging the power of AI to make learning more personalized, more engaging, and ultimately more effective for everyone.
Absolutely. It's all about finding ways to use this technology to really enhance the learning process, whether it's understanding individual learning styles or even creating those customized learning paths we hear so much about.
Yeah, those customized learning paths. So, if you've ever felt lost in a giant lecture hall or struggled to keep up with the pace of a class, AI might actually be able to help with that.
It's all about creating a learning experience that is truly tailored to each student's needs. And a lot of that boils down to the power of machine learning.
Machine learning, right. This seems to be the core of it all. But I think a lot of people hear machine learning and their eyes kind of glaze over a little bit. Can you maybe explain it in a way that even I can understand?
Sure, sure. Think of it like this. Instead of programming a computer with specific rules,
Hmm.
we give it data and let it learn from that data. So it's kind of similar to how we learn as humans.
Oh, okay.
We observe, we experiment, we make mistakes, and we get better over time.
Right.
And that's what machine learning allows computers to do.
So instead of giving the computer a set of instructions, we give it a bunch of data and say, okay, figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. And the more data it has, the better it gets at recognizing patterns, making predictions, and adapting to new information.
So it's like the computer is constantly learning and improving, just like a student.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. And there are actually different types of machine learning, each with its own strengths. You have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning.
So like supervised learning would be like, I don't know, if you're showing a computer a bunch of pictures of cats and a bunch of pictures of dogs and it eventually learns to tell the difference.
Yeah, exactly. With supervised learning, you're giving the computer labeled data. So you're telling it, this is a cat, this is a dog, and it learns to make those distinctions on its own.
Oh, okay, okay. And then unsupervised learning would be like what? Just giving it a jumble of images and saying, figure it out.
Yeah, it's a bit more like, imagine trying to sort a giant pile of laundry without any labels. That's kind of what unsupervised learning is like for a computer.
Oh, wow. That sounds pretty challenging.
It is challenging,
And
but it's also incredibly powerful because unsupervised learning can help us discover hidden connections and insights that we might not even have known to look for.
so I'm starting to see how this connects to education. If we can teach computers to learn like this, imagine what they could do to help us learn more effectively.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then there's reinforcement learning where the computer learns through trial and error, getting rewards for good choices and penalties for bad ones.
So it's kind of like training a dog with treats, right?
Exactly. You're giving it positive reinforcement for the desired behaviors. And through that process, the computer figures out the best way to achieve a goal.
Wow. So it's constantly trying to improve its performance by learning from its mistakes. I mean, that makes me wonder, how is this type of learning being used in education already?
Oh, in so many ways. One example is think back to those personalized learning platforms we talked about. Those are using machine learning algorithms to figure out, your learning patterns and adjust the content accordingly.
So it's like having a personal tutor who knows exactly what you need and how to challenge you without overwhelming you.
Yeah, exactly. And these personalized recommendations you see on, say, Netflix or Amazon, those are also powered by machine learning. So in a way, we're already interacting with this technology in our daily lives.
Okay, so it's not just some futuristic concept anymore. Machine learning is here, and it's starting to change how we learn in some really, really interesting ways. But before we get too deep into that, I think it's important to understand where the whole idea of artificial intelligence came from.
Right, right. Understanding the history can give us a better appreciation for like how far we've come and where we might be headed. And it's actually not a new concept. The idea of creating artificial intelligence has been around for centuries.
Really? I always thought it was a relatively modern idea.
Well, even in ancient myths and stories, you have these artificial beings, right,
Hmm.
with intelligence and all that. But the formal study of AI as we know it began in the mid-20th century.
Right, right. I'm thinking of Alan Turing and the Turing test. That was back in 1950. I think it's so fascinating that people were already thinking about how to measure machine intelligence back then.
The Turing test was groundbreaking. I mean, Turing proposed that if a machine could hold a conversation that was indistinguishable from a human's, then it could be considered intelligent, which, is still relevant today as we develop AI systems that interact with us in increasingly complex ways.
It's crazy to think that that thought experiment from over 70 years ago is still, like, shaping how we approach AI today. So from that point on, did research just, like, explode? Was it just constant progress?
It wasn't always a straight line. There were definitely periods of rapid progress,
Yeah.
like the Dartmouth workshop in 1956. That's considered the birth of AI as a formal field of study.
Right,
And
right.
in the 70s and 80s, we saw those expert systems being developed. They were designed to mimic human decision-making, but just in very specific areas.
Right, like medical diagnosis or things like
Right.
that. But I've also heard about something called the AI winter. What was that all about?
Yeah, the AI winter refers to a period in the late 80s and early 90s when progress in AI research really slowed down. Funding dried up, and there was a sense of like disillusionment. Maybe AI wasn't going to live up to the hype.
So it's kind of like hitting a plateau on your learning journey,
Yeah,
You're making progress and then suddenly things stall and you're like, will I ever reach my goal?
exactly. But just like with any learning journey, persistence pays off. In the case of AI, the resurgence came with the rise of machine learning,
Mm.
fueled by all this data we have now and, the advances in computing power.
Which brings us back to where we started.
Full circle.
I'm ready to dive deeper into how machine learning is actually being used in education today.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork, talked about what machine learning is, where the whole idea of AI came from. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. How is AI actually being used in classrooms and online learning platforms today?
Well, one area that's really exploding right now is personalized learning. Remember those platforms we talked about earlier, the ones that use machine learning to adapt to the individual learning styles?
Yeah, those platforms are fascinating. It's like having, a learning experience that's custom fit, like a tailored suit for your brain.
Exactly. These platforms can actually track your progress, figure out your strengths and weaknesses, and even, try to identify how you prefer to learn. And then they use all that information to create a learning path that's, well, personalized just for you.
So it's not just about like getting the same material as everyone else, but at your own pace. It's about getting the right material presented in the right way at the right time.
Exactly. And what's really cool? There's this concept of a dynamic learning path. The platform can actually adjust the difficulty level as you go.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're always being challenged but not overwhelmed.
It's like having a personal trainer for your brain.
There you go. Another great analogy. And it really highlights how AI can make learning more effective, but also more enjoyable. Because we all learn in different ways,
Yeah.
at our own pace.
Yeah.
And our learning experiences should reflect that.
Absolutely. And it's not just about personalizing the content and the pace, right? I mean, these platforms can also recommend additional resources, suggest activities, even like point you toward entirely new learning paths based on, how you're doing and what you're interested in.
Oh, for sure. It's like having an AI-powered guidance counselor who can help you explore different subjects, maybe even discover new passions.
I like that. So we're talking about a lot of, student-focused applications, but what about the teachers? I mean, does AI make teachers obsolete?
Not at all. In fact, I think AI can actually make teachers even more effective. Think about it. AI can take over those, more routine tasks, like grading, for example, or even delivering some of the basic instruction.
Uh,
And that frees up teachers to do what they do best, right? Mentoring students,
hmm.
facilitating those really insightful discussions, and just creating a much more dynamic and engaging learning environment.
So it's not about replacing teachers. It's about like empowering them,
Yeah.
giving them the tools to be even better educators.
Exactly. It's this really cool partnership between human intelligence and artificial intelligence, each playing to their strengths.
Hmm.
And, it allows for a more personalized approach to teaching as well, because teachers can use AI to gather those insights about individual student needs and learning styles.
Right.
So they can really tailor their instruction and provide more targeted support. It's a win-win for both students and teachers.
I like it. But what about, those who learn best through hands-on experiences? Can AI help with that too?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of AI-powered tools and simulations that can create those really immersive and interactive learning experience. We talked about virtual labs earlier, right?
Yeah.
But it can go way beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like imagine, I don't know, learning about the solar system by taking a virtual field trip to Mars, or studying anatomy by exploring a 3D model of the human body.
So it's like stepping into a video game, but with the purpose of learning.
Exactly. And I think that's what's so exciting about all of this. AI isn't just about making learning more efficient. It's about making it more fun, more engaging.
It's about bringing that wow
Yeah,
factor.
for sure.
Okay, but what about assessment? How does AI play into grading and, providing feedback to students?
Well, there's a lot happening there too.
Hmm.
We now have AI tools that can analyze written work, for grammar, vocabulary, even things like the strength of the arguments presented.
So it can grade essays?
It can. And it's actually being used in some schools and universities already. But, it's not a perfect system.
Right.
We have to be careful about how we use it. But it can be really helpful for providing quick feedback and freeing up teachers' time for more of that one-on-one interaction.
Right, right. And what about like multiple choice tests? Can AI grade those too?
Absolutely. AI can grade those, often with much greater speed and accuracy than a human, and that allows teachers to get a much faster understanding of where the students are at,
Yeah.
and identify areas where they might need a little extra help.
So it sounds like AI is taking on a lot of tasks that used to be very time-consuming for teachers. I mean, what are some of the other ways that AI is like changing how teachers, prepare for their lessons and things like that?
Well, there are these AI-powered tools that can actually help teachers create engaging lesson plans and materials. Like they can analyze textbooks and other resources to suggest relevant content, create quizzes and activities, and even translate materials into multiple languages.
So AI isn't just changing how students learn, it's also changing how teachers teach.
Exactly. It's making it easier for them to create those really dynamic and accessible learning experiences that we've been talking about.
It really seems like AI is having a profound impact on education at all levels.
It is. And it's only going to become more prevalent in the years to come. As this technology continues to develop, we can expect to see even more innovative and exciting applications in education.
Wow, it feels like we've covered so much, but I bet we've only scratched the surface of what AI can do in education. What's next? Like, what are some of the trends we should be keeping an eye on?
Oh, the future is exciting. Think about this. Imagine a world where every student has a personalized AI assistant.
Like a super smart study buddy.
Exactly. Available 24/7. And this assistant would know your strengths, your weaknesses, your goals, and it could recommend learning paths and resources that are just right for you.
Not just like, oh, here's a textbook. It's more nuanced than that.
Oh, way more nuanced.
Yeah.
We're talking about true personalized support and guidance. And it's not some far-off fantasy either. I mean,
Yeah.
we're already seeing the early stages of this with some of those AI-powered learning platforms and virtual tutors that we talked about.
Right, right.
As this technology keeps getting better, more personalized, it really could revolutionize how we learn. And it could make quality education accessible to so many more people.
Yeah, that's what's so exciting to me. Think about students in remote areas or, underserved communities. They could have access to incredible learning experiences right on par with what's offered at like the top universities. That's powerful.
It is. That's the potential, right? Breaking down barriers, making learning more accessible and more equitable for everyone. And it's not just about, delivering information. It's the learning experience itself.
So, okay, besides personalized AI assistants, what else? What other ways could AI like actually transform the learning experience?
Think immersive. Think interactive. We touched on virtual labs, but VR and AR, those are about to explode in education.
Yeah. So we're not just reading about history, we're stepping into historical events.
Exactly. You could explore the human body from the inside out. You could travel to distant planets.
Forget textbooks, we're learning by doing, by experience.
Talk about engagement. And AI can personalize these experiences, can tailor the environment, the challenges, all of that to match your learning style.
Okay, so we've got AI handling all this, making things more efficient, more engaging. But what about those human skills? Creativity, critical thinking, collaboration. What happens to those in a world where AI is like doing so much of the heavy lifting?
That's a great question. That's where the focus needs to shift. If AI is taking care of the routine stuff, education can really hone in on those essential human skills.
Yeah.
The ones that are only going to become more valuable in this world driven by technology.
So instead of just memorizing facts, we'll be spending more time on like problem solving, creative thinking.
Right. It's about using AI to boost those human capabilities, not to replace them. And that's where teachers, human teachers, become even more vital.
I can see that. AI handles the rote learning, and teachers guide, mentor, facilitate. It's a powerful team.
A powerful partnership. AI and human intelligence working together to create a learning experience that's dynamic, effective, inspiring. This deep dive, it's really just a starting point. We've just scratched the surface of AI's impact on education.
We've looked at the history, the applications, and even peeked into the future. It's bigger than gadgets and algorithms. It's about how we learn and how we prepare for a future that's, well, it's being shaped by technology right before our eyes.
So how will you use these powerful tools to shape your own learning journey? That's the question I'll leave you with.
That's a good one. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep diving deep. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.